Hi everyone, I'm delighted to have another LinkedIn Live. And today joining me is Bindu. And she has a new book on cybersecurity, and it's very exciting to be with you, Bindu. Thank you very much. We've just had a very interesting time just getting everything ready, getting it working, but it was done just in the nick of time. So if you are joining us, please do feel free to say hello. It's always lovely when these things can be a little bit interactive. So let me introduce Bindu first of all. Bindu is the most wonderful business analyst and consultant. In recent years, she's developed specialist knowledge in the field of cybersecurity, which, as we all know, is incredibly important for us and for our clients now. Bindu has just written a book on the subject Cybersecurity in Business Analysis, which is published by the BCS. And she's also co-authored the CCA certification as well. So Bindu, you're a wonderful person to have on this live today. Thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Penny, for inviting. It's been an honor, and I feel privileged to be on your show. Thank you.
Thank you. So first of all, could you tell us a little bit about the need for cybersecurity now, why we need it now, what it is actually even, and we've got a couple of people who are commenting, so it's great to have those comments coming in.
Fantastic. And hello, everyone. Welcome for this conversation. And please do join us. As Penny said, we want it to be an interactive session. So, Penny, yes, why cybersecurity? I actually try to address this question from different perspectives. So, today I'm going to try another one. So, we as business analysts, we co create value within the organization. And when we say a value, which means it is something important or something of uh, worth that is providing a benefit to a segment of users or stakeholders. So now let's think about it. When there is something that is of worth, that means there is risk always associated for something that is really valuable. And if we are not addressing those risks, then whatever the value we are creating, it is always not guaranteed to be safe. So, thinking on the same lines, when you have something very precious that is so valuable, you don't just keep it or throw it around. Depending on what it is, you're trying to protect it. Maybe one layer, two layers, or a couple of layers, or in any form. But basically, a value needs to be protected. So, yes, cybersecurity was just a part of the non-functional requirements, which was fine because decades back, all of these projects and systems were more into automation and then little bit of enhancements supporting the end user. But today,
Yep,
the
yep.
landscape is completely different. So today, we don't have the business driving it, we have the technology that's driving the business. So it's completely the other way. So, which means here it's just not business analysts, it's everybody needs to put their attention or everybody needs to contribute. So, that is why I always say security is everybody's responsibility. It is just not one person or one team's responsibility. So, as business analysts, we actually try to connect all the dots from what's required to the value, and also even assessing if the value is the benefit is even realized or not. Because when we complete a project, we just complete the activities of the project. The success of the project is only when the benefits are realized. Otherwise, we don't know if the project is successful or not. So when we actually connect those dots, I think that we have that space even to kind of address this, and we should be address this because we provide or we work with the stakeholders, understand what their need is, and we write those requirements. And of course, we don't develop those requirements, it's the experts, the development team who does. Similarly, when we say this is of value and these are the risks, and it has to be provided or it has to be secured in whatever the fashion, we don't provide those controls. There's a team who does that, but we have to identify as part of the team with the business and say, you know what, this is so important. This has to be secure from this, because that means we are addressing these risks underneath. So that is where, as PAs, we will have to incorporate security holistically. It is just not as part of NFRs. From the strategy, the moment we start thinking and working on a project, up until the benefits are realized, we have to include that and start. It should become part of our work anyway. So that is the phase we are currently in, and hence this cannot be ignored, or this is not something only somebody else does. So now it's changed, the landscape has changed, and we have to adapt accordingly.
Absolutely. And I can remember, security used to be one of the long list of things, usability, all sorts of things ending in itty, usability, security, interoperability, all those things in those non functional requirements. But you're saying that now this has become so much more important for everybody. It's not just something for the techies and the BAs to think about and make sure is covered off, but it needs to be owned by everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are there just to provide the technical solutions, because that is what their job is. But in terms of identifying or working with the teams to identify the risks, and even trying to put that as part of the requirements package, is something we have to do now. It's the need
Yeah.
of the hour.
Absolutely. And I suppose it's because the world has changed. The world is so dependent on actually those things we value being not disappearing. The whole world would go into shutdown. Can you imagine if all of our technology became unavailable?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That is, again, one of the risks I normally try to discuss as part of my workshops, because we can't even imagine that we can have a day without technology.
Absolutely.
However, even though the risk is very, very low, it is not zero. That means the possibility is still there. And it really takes, when we are discussing with the attendees, it really takes some time for few people to even get into the depth of it. Because somewhere we don't even acknowledge that tomorrow morning I can wake up and there won't be electricity, or there won't be technology, or there won't be Wi-Fi. But the possibility is still there, even though the risk might be very, very low. So I always say, as part of the analysis, include this work, even though it is not happening today, right? Because we don't know. And that is, again, something, it's called predictable surprises, which McKinsey has kind of coined this term. And there they highlight these existential threats. And this is one of the existential threats. So this is very, very important that we just don't consider what we are doing within the project, but even the existence of the technology as well is a risk that we have to consider.
Wow. What are the key things that a business analyst needs to think about around cybersecurity? What are the biggest aspects?
I think the first and foremost, I would say, it's the security mindset.
Okay, tell me about the security mindset then, Bindu.
Uh, f- I mean, I just use a very, very simple example, Penny, and also you have read the book, you have seen as well, and all non-representations. We just uh, park the bike wherever we go with the kind of a loop lock or something. That doesn't guarantee that the bike will be there. So I always have this two pictures where this bike is locked with the hook lock, and the next image is just the wheel there. The entire bike is gone. Uh, I know it is so simple, but basically it really nails the point down. As you know, even for a business analyst, we need to have that right mindset. We need to have that PM mindset to kind of work on the projects, because we just can't work with our blinkers on. Like, we need to have the full vision, even though we are focused on the detail the requirements or detailed feature functionality, whatever it is. So there is a certain mindset, even there is a certain mindset required when we are engaging with the stakeholders, managing them, along with all the techniques and the things, tools that we use. Mindset is the foundation. It talks about the business analyst who performs all of these actions. Similarly, when it comes to security, it's always the mindset that matters. Without this mindset, we don't have that switch on to even identify what can go wrong in a situation. So this mindset switch has to be on. And that is something like any other muscle, we can train ourselves, because yes, though we understand, just we need to keep on training that muscle so that the moment we are working on the projects or whatever, we just say, okay, this is a risk. Again, the priority, everything the business does, we go through those process, but identifying what can go wrong is something, because security is something when all the risks are managed. Simple. That's it. We can say something is secured when we have identified all the risks and we have managed those risks, whether we have mitigated or we have identified. We are going to, work when action when it manifests. Doesn't matter. As long as we know it and we have a plan, that is called secured. So if we don't even know, we can't even secure it.
Oh,
So that is
absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
foundation.
Brilliant. So much of the thinking is similar to general risk management, isn't it? And just
Yes.
focusing it in, as you say, the mindset is so key. So Bindu, the next question I've got for you, and if anybody listening, and I can see we have several people on the line, if any of you have any questions about cybersecurity and business analysis for Bindu, do pop them in the comments and I can pass them on. But I have a question for you, Bindu. What about your journey from being a standard BA, because you used to be a standard business analyst when I first met you, which is quite a long time ago, to being this cybersecurity expert, with books and credentials that you've been involved in developing. So how do you make that transition, Bindi?
Good question, Penny. I don't know if I was ever a standard BA because I can't remember working on two projects which were exactly the same, sometimes technical, sometimes this, sometimes that. I say business analysis comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors. So, similarly, yeah,
A standard, wonderful business analyst. I mean, nobody's a bog standard business analyst.
exactly, yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, I started off my career as from a technical background as an systems analyst developer, where my job, I was working for a consulting organization where I used to go to these banks, and we they I'm talking about 2 decades, late 90s, where in huge banks they would have something called EDP, electronically data processing, teams, and we used to work with those teams, understand the business needs, design the system, do the all the normalizing of the data, creating the database. So basically everything, including you write the code and then train the users, and then you move on to another project. So basically end to end of software development is what I used to do.
So
So which means
you had the whole view of the whole thing. I'm sure that's come in handy later, but I'll let you
oh,
carry on with your story, Bindu.
no, every project that comes in handy, because I think the foundation was laid then. And that is why even today, when I'm talking to, for example, the technical team, my development background really helps when we're having those conversations. And I love debugging. I still sit with some of the developers, and we still have that, because coding was my first love anyway. So I used to really, enjoy the moment you write something and it really works. You get that feedback straight away. Unlike now, you have to wait for the phases. So yeah, that was a thing. And as I progressed through the career, the coding work started reducing, and a lot of understanding the system, stakeholder engagement, and the analysis was getting more and more, and also the project management responsibilities started increasing. And somewhere during this process, I just felt I was at the crossroads because I wasn't really enjoying, the project management side of stuff as much I enjoyed, getting myself involved within the project. And that's when I had to kind of, look back and see how do I want to, what I really enjoyed and how I want to like take my career forward and what I would really want myself. And the obvious thing was the analysis. That was one of the best things that I was doing just before that. And I thought, okay, that is what it is. And since then, officially, I called myself business analyst and did all the certifications then, the specific to CBAP and all the BCS international diploma. And then, yeah, from then it's just been on projects. And as I was working on one of the project where I was assigned a project which was almost at the bottom of the backlog, probably for a year and a half or something. And because there was capacity in the project, in the team, I was assigned this. And this uh, backlog or the product came, the feature came with the solution as well, because this problem was identified way back and they knew what the solution was. So, like any good BA would do, I started understanding what's the root cause, what's the problem, and even if that solution is still viable. And I started talking to the teams as well. And then I realized it was actually a data leak in another part of the world.
Wow.
And yes, and this was a subscription product that I was working, and the data, this subscription data, was actually being hacked, and this didn't happen even once; it happened multiple times, and the operations teams didn't realize, and then they saw why is this anomalies in the report, and then they started getting into the details, and then they identified, yeah, somebody was stealing the data. And they designed, okay, this is the problem, so that was a solution. However, it was at the bottom of the backlog for many, many months. And as BS, you start kind of looking into it, thinking into it, and that really got me to thinking, and it really opened my eyes into a completely new world. And I started really questioning, okay, who should have really raised this? Is it really important? And what would have happened if all the data would have been out there on the internet? And here we are talking about one of the prestigious organization, and where people pay a premium for this data that they subscribe, and what would happen to the brand's reputation. So all of these things really kind of came up. And when I was having these conversations, somehow um, I didn't see the same kind of need that I was actually trying to see. And yeah, so then I get, as BAs, we kind of, we are leaders without title, as you know. So somewhere we try to see that, okay, whose responsibility is it then? And then I thought, okay, as part of our analysis, we kind of say, okay, this is what our analysis is, and the business will take a decision, they prioritize, and they say, okay, this is what they want to do or not. Then, which means, what if we provide this as part of our analysis? That was my initial thought, somewhere, because I would feel, okay, yes, I have seen something which needs the attention, and bringing that attention to the table is my job. And after that, how it is perceived and how anybody is going to take the action is beyond my pay grade anyway. So that is what I decided, and I couldn't get the right information from a business analysis perspective. So, yeah, long story short, I went back to university to study security management, and all my colleagues used to ask me, "You are a BA. Why are you even studying security, cybersecurity? Because that's something very technical, and it's completely different." But somewhere I couldn't articulate it well to say how they both are linking, because I myself was still trying to figure it out. But somewhere within me, I felt I had to do this. I don't know why, So I kind of I meditate a lot. So I rely a lot on my intuition and my inner voice. So that really kind of kept me going. I didn't realize this was my journey. I'm talking probably 8 years back or 7, 8 years back. And one after I completed my studies, and then I was trying to see where and how can I even fit it, because I myself was figuring it out, and nobody was even ready to kind of even listen, because I was not an any voice or anything to say, okay, this is important. Let's look into it. But fortunately, IIBA was writing this CCA or planning to put a CCA certification together, and there was an article by Ken Fulmer, the previous CEO, and the moment I read the article, oh my God, I was so excited. And straight away I responded, I emailed, I said, I've been struggling. I'm trying to say this is important, especially from a BA perspective, and I can't believe this is happening. And I just congratulated him on the initiative, because I didn't know anything. I just saw that even the article. I didn't even know that they were trying to put a team together. So, but later on, Ken acknowledged the response and email, and he said, "Actually, you know what? We're trying to build a certification for this. Do you want to be part of the team?" And that's how I started working with them. And once CCA was done, I think again from 2018, 2019, yeah, 18 and 19. I've been kind of sharing, presenting at conferences, webinars. Terry and I did a lot of workshops, a lot of conferences, presentations, just to because Terry also was part of the CCA team, and along with few other brilliant people. So again, we both have been working to just bring this awareness within the BA community, and that is what it's taken almost 5 to 6 years, and people have realized, and at the end of the session they would come and ask, okay, yes, I get it now. What's next? How do I really make sure this is an ongoing thing, and how do I really bring this awareness with my project team as well, so that they understand this is important and all that. So we were trying to work through different ways how we can really, support this initiative. And yeah, BCS approached, and this book happened, and
Let's
that's
not go there quite yet, Bindu, because I'm interested. Because
yeah.
looking back from now, it all makes perfect sense. But I noticed that you were saying that you spotted it when nobody else did, really. And you actually went back to university to do more studying, all that hard work with a family and everything. The pressure is quite intense, isn't it, when you have lots going on, but yet you saw that tentative link that other people weren't seeing, and you put yourself out to make a difference. And while it all looks perfect now and it makes perfect sense, at that time it's quite scary, isn't it?
I was lost. I didn't even know sometimes. You don't believe, when I enrolled for my university, I couldn't even, like, as you said, family work. I had very young children then. I'm talking about nearly, yeah, 10, yeah, 8 years at least. And no, 8 years is when I did, but yeah, more than 10, 12 years, because when I applied for my master's, I wasn't even able to attend. So I lost my fee for my first 6 months, and I almost gave up, like as I said, but it didn't let me sleep. I know it might feel uncanny, but somewhere I couldn't sleep. I had to kind of go back and study. So again, I paid for the another 6 months. I enrolled again, and I made sure, okay, this time I shouldn't be losing my hard-earned money. So yeah, it was. I was many times I was lost. I didn't know whether I was doing it or not, because this was again outside of my normal BA work. With my family, and with Indian family, there are a lot many strings than we think. So yeah, it was those. I like sometimes I was thinking, am I really doing the right thing, or what is happening? Like, but as I said, I follow my inner voice a lot. I believe that intuition is something which knows my past, present, and future, and it is going to lead. And there's a lot of trust in that. So that is where I think some of those really kind of helped me in this journey. But yeah, I was lost many times.
But you had this driving thing pulling you forward that actually this cybersecurity is going to be really important for BAs in the future. It's a bit like me writing a book on virtual leadership in 2015 that
Absolutely.
ended up, and I suppose later on looking back, everyone can see, oh yes, cybersecurity makes perfect sense. But you're one of the first people to sort of make that connection, and I wanted to say well done, and well done for sticking at it as well. So you started talking about your book. Why did you want to write the book? We're jumping back, jumping ahead from when you got the connection, and then you did the degree, you did the CCA and so on, and then you began to think about how can I get this knowledge out there, didn't you?
Yes, in terms of the book, see, yes, to put the knowledge out is what Cherry and I have been working for a long time. Uh, However, like, during the presentations and the workshops, you kind of focus on some, one or two specific areas, and that is what we can share. So, as a BA, the whole package, the from our, initial strategic analysis till we deliver the project and everything around the BA work that we do, how does cybersecurity actually fit was something which was a gap. And the book now, again, connecting the dots, it's just a logical progression from the awareness to actual integration and implementation. And that is how the timing is, like, as I said, it just came out of the blue. Didn't expect it. And also once it came, I just had a very tight timelines, which I have to credit PCS for that. They made sure I don't slip. And yeah, that is when, because it is a natural progression from awareness to implementation. And that is where the book is.
Brilliant. I'm just going to actually attempt to do something that I don't normally do live, but I'm going to try and bring up a picture of the book. Let me see if I can do this. This is me really not being a brilliant idea to add things alive, but let's see. Yes, there we are. A picture of your book. There we are. We can pop it in the middle for all to see. How's that, Bindu?
Perfect. Perfect.
So yeah, cybersecurity and business analysis, an essential guide to secure and robust systems, which is exactly what we want, and secure and robust businesses as well, because
Yes.
obviously systems are now are really key to businesses going forward. Right. Oh, we have a hi from Manoj. So hi Manoj. And again, remember, add your questions if you'd like to. Right. So you've told us about the book. So Bindu, what was the process of writing like, and what inspired you to keep going on those times when it got tough? And I know all about those.
Absolutely. Brilliant, brilliant question. The very first day when I got this email, I just panicked. I didn't know what to do. And as always, when in those situations, I have very few people who are brilliant experts who have written many books. And I just reached out to them. And Penny, you were one of them, as you know, just to kind of understand what was their process, how did they even go about it, and what to do and not to do as well, along with that. Because as a very first time, I mean, I couldn't even picture myself to even write a book. So it was.
And here it is. And here it is. Ah.
I
Yeah, but
can't
you're
believe.
doing the standard good business analyst thing of doing the, lessons learned, the getting other people's reflections so you can learn from what worked for them and their mistakes too. Perfect.
Absolutely. I have really learned that much earlier, like I think it was Jim Rohn, when I was reading one of his books. He said, um, again I can't exactly say that verbatim, but it is something like, um, you should learn from successes and you should also learn from failures, something like that. So, which means a wise person doesn't make the mistakes again and again, but they will learn from other people's successes and mistakes. So somehow that always stuck, and I try to avoid making those mistakes, and that is why I always go and check with people if they have done and if they're happy to kind of share that. And I would really, take notes and try to see. So again, as you said, it is part of the BA work that we do. We talk to stakeholders. We are try to understand from different perspectives and all that. So yeah, that was the thing. And when I spoke to a few people, I got a few different perspectives because everybody has their own style of writing. They also have their own style of how they convey the things, and of course, the process also they have their own styles. So it was like, okay, how do I pick and choose? But then again, as you know, I'm kind of intuitive person, so I had to kind of find my own process to actually write. And for me, the challenge I had was I had two different, completely different subjects and two completely theoretical subjects, very dry subjects. So how do I even kind of take completely two different theoretical dry subjects and bring some of those concepts together, which is what for a BA, from a BA perspective, and also how do I make it interesting? So this was the challenge.
I
Uh,
love the way you did that because I thought, I must say, when I was sent the book to review, I thought cybersecurity, business analysis, they can be really dry subjects, but you brought it massively to life, and I hope you'll explain why, how.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that again. Because so that was the challenge for me, and over the years, what I had done is, I always, if there's, because we were doing presentations, we were doing workshops. So if there's any valuable information that can be shared, I try to pick that up. So a lot of OneNotes, so many places of information, post-it notes, dog ears on books, and many WhatsApp groups where it's just with myself. And I started having a lot of information, accumulating it. So, for one, I had to kind of even tidy up those, understand what I need to pick up, what I shouldn't pick up. And then, even if I pick up, then how do I really bring this? Actually, the words were very true. Like, how do I bring this concept to life? So, I had no clue. But the very first chapter is what I attempted. And the thing, when I started, I just asked a couple of questions. Why do I want to write this book, first of all? And who would be the audience for this? And also, why should the audience read this book? So these were some of the things which, to start off the project, even not even thinking about the first chapter, this was the start. So again, like as you know, my process is always I have these questions and I just meditate on it. And again, very very surreal experiences where I just felt that the data was being downloaded, the ideas were kind of just coming, and I had to kind of come out of that space, click quickly, make a note, because otherwise I would just lose that thought and it's gone, that brilliant idea is gone. So that was actually the kind of process. And you might have heard, or every time when I share, when I talk about the first chapter is all about business analysis together to start off the, because they were my audience. And I always share this story of three bricklayers, and that is how I see, and it's a very common story. And if some of you who are not aware of this story, in fact, during my research for this book, I actually got to know that this is based on a real story, a real incident. It's just not a story. I thought it was just a story, which was there, but it is actually a true incident. And this happened when the St. Paul's Cathedral was being rebuilt after the big fire of London. And architect Christopher Wren, who was commissioned to do this renovation, he actually noticed the three bricklayers and their attitude towards their work. And the third bricklayer, because the first bricklayer was just working to get paid so that he can feed his family. The second one was doing his work, but he didn't have a clue. He just said, I was building a wall. He was just doing the job that he was told. But the third bricklayer was, with a lot of enthusiasm, he said, I'm helping Christopher Wren build this cathedral. And for me, that really, kind of stuck with me, because although we are doing our day-to-day work, we just cannot lose, the bigger picture of what we are delivering. And we also can't lose all the other connecting threads that we have, and we really hold those threads till the completion, and then we say, okay, this is delivered, this is delivered, this is done, or this is connecting here. So for me, that third bricklayer really reflects the BS work. You cannot do BS work without the third bricklayer's mindset. So that was so much important. And I always, when I talk about BA work, this is the story. And that is where I kind of included that story.
I love
So
that. I love that. Yeah.
yes, and that is how the first chapter came up, and the even including a story into the book just came up, and that's it. After that, I didn't have any idea about how the next chapters would go. And for the first chapter, after I completed, I didn't even attempt for the second chapter because I was waiting for the reviewers' feedback. And somewhere, one naughty thought was telling me, you were not going to continue this project because the reviewers wouldn't like. So I really waited for them to come back, and it was an amazing feedback. It really, resonated with them, and that really gave me that confidence to continue for the chapters. So again, the stories weren't in the picture. Then I started talking about the following chapters, getting into the technicalities. And then again, like as I went back to my process, Penny, every time I went to the reflection process, sat in my meditation, and one of those stories somewhere in my childhood I had heard. I don't know in which corner of my mind it was there. All of a sudden, it kind of just came, and that was the right fit for this chapter. So that is how those kind of stories really came, and some of the experiences that I had in my real life as well. So then I realized this is exactly what this needs to bring the concepts to life. And that is when, for the following later chapters, I actually had to find, okay, this is the relevant story for this, and this is the relevant story. But it wasn't the case in the beginning. And even the framework as well, it wasn't part of my initial thought process at all. So once when I realized, okay, mindset was the foundation, that's what I was calling foundation, and I just wrote a picture like a foundation. And then, okay, after this, we have to build this based on the risk analysis and business analysis. And that kind of just took a shape of two pillars. And then I realized, you know what, this is actually looking more like a framework. And later on, I had to kind of bring all the other aspects to it into the and give it a framework. So I mean, amazing process. So these are all some of the good stuff, but the not so great stuff is extreme fogginess, extreme tiredness, a lot of tears. Why did I even take up this project?
That sounds completely normal for a first time author.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable experience. Actually, I was chatting with someone, and they suggested, how is your baby? And it just made me think it's exactly like, going through that whole year of pregnancy, which is ups and downs, is because it's never smooth. And that's exactly was the experience. And once it was completed, the kind of contentment that I experienced is something that I didn't, I haven't actually kind of gone to that depth of contentment. And it really has made me more, I think, open to life as such, and even made me more humble through this process. And I think more important is just to understand that we all have a lot of, depth in us, but we don't really make an attempt because that's not an easy process. It's very humbling process, and that is, we all have that. And it really, I realized that this opportunity actually gave me to go much deeper within me. And yeah, all the foremost everything disappeared. I think it was you. We were just having a conversation on something else, and I actually shared this. Yeah, I remember it very clearly now. I told Penny, like, I have done this. So now I don't know whether this book is going to even reach one person or 10 people or whoever it is. From my side, I've done, and that is all. I have that contentment. I don't need anything. And immediately you ask me this question, tell me, why did you write this book? And I said, oh, because there was a message. I had to serve this, I had to really share this imperative message. And that's why I wrote. And you said an amazing thing. You said the book doesn't share itself. You have to share that. So, which means I had to kind of pull up my sock and say, okay. So I still remember. So, yeah, I think the process was amazing. And now, yeah, I'm on a completely different journey, which I never envisaged.
Brilliant. And here we are doing the sharing of the message that you committed to when I asked you that question and you realized,
Yeah.
oh no, the work is not done.
Yeah.
Gosh, Bindu, I can see time is flying by, and we've got comments coming in that it would be good to questions it would be good to ask. I just wanted to give a bit of a shout out to Manoj, who has been sharing all sorts of things, like a link to the story of the three bricklayers and various
Um,
other things. If you look on the comments in LinkedIn, he's also got a question that I'll ask you just after we finish this piece about the book. So I'm going to say, what's next for you when you complete? Now you've completed the book. Obviously, you're spreading the message, but where does Bindu go next?
so, as part of this initiative, on the same day when we launched this book, I also kind of launched a digital space called Cybersecurity for Business Analysts. So basically, this digital space provides a lot of valuable resources for BAs, anything to do from understanding what it is, even knowing what it is, or getting into the depth of, the concepts and the knowledge through the book, or even try to gain competence through the trainings. And I am just, and also I am in introducing podcast as well. So in fact, tomorrow is my first recording. So I'm having guests come in. So in September, a lot of podcast recording is happening. So which means that information also will be shared. So basically, this is a space where all BAs can really come and share the knowledge and also learn. We learn from each other. And when I did this, again, going back, why is this important or why is this? And now when I look back all the journey, I just felt that um, it's not me. It's probably, I see it the other way. It's probably this particular knowledge used me to kind of share this message out there. And that's very much Indian thinking, that's how we kind of consider the knowledge actually seeks us out rather than we seek the knowledge. So which means I am actually on a mission that, like, now I want to kind of really share this message and really share this knowledge, because now it is a skill that we all have to learn and we need to upskill ourselves. However, in the next 5 years, by 2030, I want every BA to kind of have cybersecurity as part of their day to day work. Like, we go and do stakeholder engagement, we write process maps, we do requirements. So this should be part of it. and it shouldn't be something, okay, this is an additional skill, it should be part of our package. So that is where I'm kind of working as well. So there are so many different avenues for people to start, even by there are a lot of articles there which are very very relevant to today, and I make an effort to update that as well. So which means that not only they can understand what is it and get that awareness, they also can make sure they can get the competency as well. And I am providing this 1 day workshop, which is very very intense. But at the end of the day, even for somebody, of course, the prerequisite is should be a BA, which means even if you're not aware of the cybersecurity knowledge, by end of the day you will be actually equipped to do the work because there's a lot of hands-on work. Having said that, I am also offering a free workshop for our community so that they can even understand what is it and try to get a taster of how they can actually start implementing it within their day-to-day work. So probably I can put the link to
Well,
on the link.
actually, I can put the link up. I think that's it. Is that right?
Yes, it is. So you can register for the free workshop, and which is again, yes, hands-on workshop, and again very intense. So if you're interested, and please share this with your friends and your colleagues so that we can really upskill ourselves and make sure, because we know that everything is technology is kind of very pervasive in our lives. I remember Miko, I think who's considered as the father of security. I don't want to pronounce his second name. I won't get it right. But he actually said that uh, we are not securing systems anymore. We are securing society now, because that is that much pervasive technology is, and the impact is just not to the systems or our project or the organization. It's to the whole society, and it affects the individual lives now. So it's like protecting the individual lives as well, one way or the other, because there are so many different ways that an individual life can be impacted. So this is very very crucial. So it's just that it's not a nice to have anymore, and that is exactly why I have this variety of avenues, so that we don't have a reason to say, you know what, I can't afford it or I don't have time. So there are small articles you could just read, and these podcasts will be in small nuggets where you can really learn from it. So yeah, that is the mission I'm currently on, and this mission cannot happen without the support of the community, because it is for the community. We all have to grow together. So yeah, it is, we all have to make this happen.
Wonderful. We've got a comment that's come in from Manoj, which I mentioned earlier. It's a question which I hope you'd be happy to answer. Based on your experience, what key cybersecurity challenges do business analysts encounter when integrating security requirements into projects? And how can they effectively work with IT and security teams to overcome them? That might need the entire book, I think, to answer that particular one, but go ahead.
No, you actually nailed it. That's exactly what was on my mind, because see, security is something, there is no one solution, because we all have different, I mean, yes, we all deal with data, we all deal with people, but there are so many other parameters, and based on that the risk varies. So again, based on the risk, again the solution varies. So there is no one solution. So which means that we will all have to identify what is important and what can go wrong with this value. That's what I was starting the conversation. We have something of value, what can go wrong, what can harm this, and how do we protect it. So once we have this lined up, then obviously we can come up with the solution and work as a team to protect it. That is the approach. And the second part of the question, how do we work with IT teams and the security teams? It's like working with business teams or any other teams. That is how, because they are part of the stakeholders as well. So yes, there is some kind of learning that should happen. Again, I talk about that in the book as well. Consider that business analyst is on one end of the spectrum, And cybersecurity analysis is on the other end of the spectrum, where the cybersecurity analyst does a lot of technical analysis of all the solutions that are already implemented or what can be implemented. It is purely a very, very technical role. We are not going to be that technical role. Yes, if you choose, that's different. But as a BA, to support, we need to get some kind of a learning and make that transition so that we are able to communicate in the same language. So we understand all the vocabulary that goes on with the security and also all the other options. What is to be secured, how it needs to be secured, what level it needs to be secured, depending on the different phases of the project. How, and in the book, actually, there is a chapter dedicated for implementing security throughout the project life cycle. So if we are working on, strategic analysis, what are the tools as BAs we use? We might use some PESTLE analysis, SWOT analysis, or any of those frameworks, which means, and the book talks about how we can extend this to include securities or cybersecurity specifically. So that is how you can actually, get those at every stage. And I think there's also the IIBA knowledge areas. If you're using knowledge areas, I have actually included how we can extend that knowledge areas to include security as well. So that is all about implementing and using it. I hope, Manoj, I've answered your question. If not, you can reach out to me and we can love to discuss more.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Bindu. There's never going to be a nice, if there was an easy answer to that question, you wouldn't have needed to write the book. So yes, absolutely. So I think we're sort of coming up to the end, really. People can see the book, they can see your link for your free training, which is really kind of you for the community. I'm just going to
Say
just,
one thing.
yes, of
Can I
course.
just, because we're talking about the book, if people are kind of interested and they're curious and if they want to kind of buy the book, if they go to the same website, they can get the author code. Based on the author code, they get a discount. So if at all you're doing it, that would be a way where you could get a discount as well. I can't hear you here, Penny. Are you on?
I'm sorry. How can people find the discount that you're just talking about, or is there a special link to go to get
Yeah,
the
it is
book?
on the same, it is on the same website, Cybersecurity for Business Analysts.
Okay, on this one up there. Yeah,
Yes, if you go on to the homepage, it has the book, and if you click, it will take you to the author code where you can get the
super.
author.
So don't just go to the BCS site, but go to Cybersecurity for Business Analysts.com and then have a look there to get the code. Sounds great, Bindu. Well, thank you so much for joining me. We had an interesting run up. I think I've learned again that you can never assume that systems will work instantly, but Bindu did a brilliant job in the background. And I think I had an idea that helped as well. And we got here on time, I think, just about. So it's been lovely. Thank you, Bindu, for sharing your knowledge and your experience. I hope all the people who are listening, and we have more listening now than we had at the beginning, which is brilliant. I think you've been very, very, very incisive and interesting, and talking about your stories. That's so important. We are humans, even if we are specialists in things like business analysis or cybersecurity. We are humans first and foremost, and stories are very powerful. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining in. We can carry on with the comments. We can carry on the conversation. I know Bindu would be quite happy to talk to people directly. Enjoy the book. I loved it, and how lovely to provide training for the community. That's really super. Thank you, Bindu.
Thank you so much, Penny, first of all, for this opportunity to share. And as always, this too was a brilliant conversation. It just never felt that we had an audience. It just felt very personal. And thank you for all of you who have joined, taken the time. And I do hope you are just inspired to take some action. We all have to take. Let's make that today. So thank you all once again for joining. And yeah.